Now notice again, there was only three races of people. You've heard me say I was a segregationist. I am. All Christians are segregationists. Not segregation of color, but segregation of spirit. A man's color of his skin has nothing to do with him. He's a child of God by birth. But a Christian, God said, separate me, come out from among them, and so forth. Amen. He is a segregationist of filth between right and wrong. But notice, they had a segregation then, a racial segregation, which was the Samaritans. And there's only three races of people on the earth, if we believe the Bible. That is Ham, Shem, and Japheth's people. That's the three sons of Noah. We all sprung from them. Right? That makes us all back from Adam, which makes us all brothers. The Bible said, of one blood God created all nations. We're all brothers through the bloodstream. A colored man can give a white man a blood transfusion, or vice versa. The white man can give the Japanese yellow man, or the Indian the red man, or what more? Or Japhanite, or whatever. He could give him a blood transfusion because we're all the same blood. The color of our skin where we lived had nothing to do with it. But when we're segregated, it's when we come out of the world. Like he brought Israel up out of Egypt. That's when we're segregated from the things of the world. Now, there was Ham, Shem, and Japheth's people. And if we had time to run the genealogies back, you can see the Anglo-Saxon where he come from. Now, that was the Jew, the Samaritan, which was half Jew and Gentile, that married in with the Gentiles at Balaam's doings. And Moab, they were Samaritans, and there was Jews and Gentiles. Now, we Anglo-Saxon had nothing to do with any of it. We didn't believe any Messiah or nothing else. We wasn't looking for one. Amen. We were brought in afterwards. Jesus came to his own, and his own received him not. And he said to his disciples, don't go in the way of the Gentiles, but go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. And he went only to the lost sheep of Israel. And watch, he manifested himself as Son of Man before the Jews. They turned it down. Now, the Samaritan, being half Jew and Gentile, they believed also and was looking for a Messiah. We wasn't. We were heathens with clubs on our back, worshiping idols, the Gentiles. But now, one day, St. John 4, he had need to go by Samaria on his road down to Jericho, but went up around Samaria. And while he was going up there, he sat down on the well outside of a city called Sychar. And the well, if you've ever been there, it's a little panoramic, about like this here. And there's a public spring there of water where they all come, and the women come of a morning, get their pots of water and put it on their head, and one on each hip, and walk with it just as straight as can be, never spill a drop, talk to one another. So the people come out there. So this is about 11 o'clock in the day. So he sent his disciples into the city to buy some victuals, food. And while they were gone, there was a woman which was ill-famed. We'd call her today a red light woman, or prostitute. She had too many husbands. So while Jesus was sitting there, this woman come out about 11 o'clock. See, she couldn't come with the virgins. When they come in the morning to get their wash water, she had to wait till they didn't mix like they do now. She was marked. So then she come out to get some water. So she just tucked the old windle and put the hooks over the jar and started to let it down. She heard somebody say, "Woman, bring me a drink." Now remember, this is Melchizedek. This is Jesus yesterday, the Son of Man. And she looked around and she saw a Jew. So she said, "Sir, it's not proper for a Jew to ask a Samaritan for anything. I'm a woman of Samaria, so you have spoken out of your place. You shouldn't have asked me such a thing as that. We have no dealings with one another." He said, "But if you knew who was talking to you, you'd ask me for a drink." She said, "How are you going to draw it? The well is deep and you have nothing to draw with." He said, "The water that I give is water of life springing up into eternal life." He talked to her till he found what her condition was. And then watch what he said to her now. "Go get your husband and come here." And she said, "I have no husband." He said, "You've said the truth. For you've had 5, and the one you now are living with is not yours. So in this you said the truth. What's the difference between that woman and that bunch of priests? She know more about God than that whole bunch of priests did put together. She said, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. She said, we haven't had one for 400 years. Now we know that the Messiah is coming, and when the Messiah comes, that's what He's going to do. Yeah. That was the sign of the Messiah, for He was the Son of Man. Amen. Said that's what He's going to do. When He comes, you must be His prophet. He said, I am He. Nobody else could say that. She dropped that water pot and ran into the city and said, come see a man who told me what I've done. Isn't this the very Messiah? Now remember, He promised to do that same thing at the end of the Gentile race. The Jews had 4,000 years to look for that Messiah. 4,000 years of teaching He was coming and what He would do when He got there, and they failed to see Him, or failed to recognize Him. And when He made Himself known in the very Bible terms that He said He would, when He'd been a theophany and then become flesh and dwelt among them, they failed to see it and called His works the works of the devil. Now, we've had 2,000 years of teaching, coming down through the Roman Catholic Church after the apostles. Then we come down through the Roman Catholic, the Greek, and so forth, on down to Luther's age and Wesley. What more? 900 different organizations coming down that had all these ages teaching. Now He promised just before the end time would come that the picture of Sodom and Gomorrah would again, as it was in the days of Sodom, so shall it be in the coming of the end time. The Son of Man will reveal Himself again. Yet a little while, and the world won't see me no more. Yet ye shall see me, for I, a personal pronoun, I will be with you, even in you, to the consummation, the end of the world. I'll be with you. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. You see, the Samaritan was actually, from my last night's sermon, was Agar. See, a perverted type. The Jew was Saranite. But the Gentile is of Mary, the royal seed, Abraham's royal seed. Now it's promised that in these last days that this same God, this same Christ, would come back here and reveal Himself as Son of Man. Why? He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen. And if He let those Jews go by and give them that Messiah sign, and then come to the end of the Gentiles' teaching and let them just go in on theology, He would be unjust. Amen. He's got to do the same thing, because the Bible said in Hebrews 13:8, He is the same. Amen. And He's promised in Malachi 4 and all the different scriptures that the last days the church would be setting just exactly like it is today, and the world would be. Look at the world today. Look at the Sodom condition.